Hello everyone, welcome to the Money Club series. I am your host, Zah and I'm joined by my fellow pilgrim, Sam Eljaban.
What pilgrims? Can you elaborate how pilgrims?
Oh, because
we've come from a land far away or something.
No, because we're going to talk about giving back in this
Yes.
episode, and it's closely tied to religion a little bit, I think, and my foundational learnings of giving back has come from my religion, or our religion, and that's why I decided to call you my fellow pilgrim.
It makes sense. You got me on the spot. It didn't make sense to me, man.
That's the whole idea, these introductions that will put you on the spot.
I know. Make me nervous. Make me squirm. Makes me squirm. So.
How have you been?
Good. Feels like we haven't done one in a while, but it hasn't been that long, has it?
No, I think it's been about a month.
A few weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but all good. I'm still married, so first month of marriage. Or 2 months,
Successful.
So there's no divorce on the cards, I don't think. So that's good.
Yeah.
So no, everything's going smooth. You?
Mate, still married.
Busy.
Still have the old ball and chain. But enjoying life.
Yep.
Yeah. Cash has just turned 1.
Yes, that's
and
right.
we had a wonderful celebration, which is pretty much the reason why we've come up with this topic for this episode. And we just announced that we just started constructing our first orphan home, which is what we've been wanting to do for a long time. And I actually wanted to do this when Cash was born, but I didn't feel like I had the right connections. We weren't really in a position to do it. And I thought, his first birthday came around and I thought, well, it'd be great to sort of honor it in Cash's name, for the first one, so he can always remember it. So we set up this private foundation called the ASME Foundation. And the reason why it's private, because there's so much regulations around starting an actual foundation where you've got to, where you can accept money from the public and all of that sort of thing. As you can imagine, there's a lot of scammers out there, and it has to be
on the news all the time.
It has to be regulated, so that it's not something I complain about. But we just thought, instead of trying to raise funds from the public or our audience or anything like that, we'll just self-fund it ourselves. So, and you know what? I never thought that. My intention was never to make this like a public thing. It was just something that we really wanted to do as a family, and we've been wanting to do it for a very long time. And we just had Cash's first birthday. There were 100 people there, and I thought I'd announce it to the 100 people there, which are close friends and family. And but I didn't realize. I just forgot that if I was doing a speech, it would be recorded, and we had videographers and stuff there. And anyway, it got put out to social media, which I just didn't even think that was going to happen. And the response was amazing, right? And I'm very shy about this sort of stuff because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to self-promote. But my wife said the other day, she said, you sort of need to promote that you're doing it, because you're setting an example for the next generation. So hence the reason why we've gotten Cash involved in it so early, right? Because he will take this on, further than say business and all the other things that we do as a family, right? And it'll give him bigger meaning and purpose. And if he can carry that on to the next generation as well and lead by example, I think that's going to be a really good thing, right? And I think a lot of people make charitable donations, and they do keep quiet about it because they're a bit embarrassed. They don't want to feel like they're self-promoting. And there's a lot of people out there saying to me, like, oh, you're just doing it for self-promotion, tax deductions, all of that sort of stuff. And I guess you sort of just got to embrace it and think, okay, what's the bigger picture? Influencing more people to go and do it as well. So I've had
you have to make it known anyway.
Yeah.
Because I think your intention as well is to recruit more people to help as well. So it's not just for you. And just like at Cash's party, other people were willing to contribute. They just probably didn't have a means or how to actually do it. I know there's a lot of charities out there, but once it's in in your immediate environment and your friend is doing it, close friend, it makes it closer to home and you can actually give. It makes it easier to give. So it's not like you were promoting yourself, but you're giving people an opportunity.
Of course.
To contribute. Yeah.
And I think what was really nice from it is that I actually got a lot of phone calls from a lot of my wealthy friends, and they called me and they said, you know, how much they were proud of me and all of that sort of thing. But then they also said, oh, but I've always wanted to do that, and I've always thought about it, and I was like, well, why don't you do it? Because you've got like 2 or 3 times more wealth than I do. You're definitely in a position to do it. Your children are all well fed. You should just go and do it. And those people have now gone and they're seeking out different charitable partnerships so that they can get involved in this sort of way of giving back and paying it forward, right? So I feel proud that I've
started a ripple effect.
Exactly,
So
and and I've created more awareness for it, and hopefully more people get involved, and I think our clients will really love it as well, because they can see that, okay, instead of just constructing affordable homes here in Australia, we're also constructing orphan homes in third world countries where they really need it. And here's a fast fact that I'm guessing that a lot of people don't know, but there are over 150 million orphans worldwide.
150 million. Wow, that's enormous.
It's massive. It's massive.
That'd be from war-torn, poverty type.
So let's think about the Australian population at 26 million.
What's that, times 6 or 7? Wow.
It's crazy, right? And I guess a lot of people ask me, oh, why orphan homes? Like, why not? There's so many other charities you can donate to, like there's the homeless, there's
millions of charities.
Yeah, there's breast cancer awareness, there's kids cancer, all of that sort of thing, and they're all doing great things. And I guess the reason why we chose orphans is because when Cash was born, you don't realize this until you become a parent, right? But when your child is born and you love that child unconditionally, and that child is helpless, like Cash couldn't do anything, or he still can't do anything. He's a year old, right? We have to do every single thing for him. We have to bath him. We have to feed him. We have to wake up in the middle of the night and all of that sort of thing, right? Like he
relies on you.
Yeah, man. Like I had him on the bed last night, and I had to watch him like a hawk so he wouldn't fall off. Like they're so helpless and they're so innocent, right? They're not at an age where they can lie to you, or you know what I mean. And I think to myself, what about these kids that don't have parents? Like Cash is incredibly lucky because he's got 2, loving parents. We're still together, and we've created this household where it's safe and he can be developed quite well. And they say the development period for children is between the ages of 2 and 7, where that's the most critical stage, right? Yeah. But what about these kids that don't have parents, that don't have homes, right? What about these kids that are between the ages of 2 to 7, and they're so helpless and they're so innocent and they're needing that development, and it's really sad to think that there's 150 million of them without a home, right? Or without parents. So we thought, you know what, like Cash is incredibly lucky, and we are incredibly lucky, right? We live in this country where we don't there are orphans here, but they're looked after quite well, right? Because we have a very generous government. Our population's quite low considering, other populations in other countries are, well over 100 million. So we're able to look after our people, but what about those guys in third world countries? So it's been a very worthy cause. For our listeners, the first orphan home is in Togo, West Africa. The next one will be in Lebanon. The one after that is Afghanistan, and the one after that is Indonesia, which will be good for us because we'll be able to travel there, and
it's close.
And
it's like a neighbour.
We can visit. Yeah. So that's a 2-year pipeline. It's going to cost us a lot of money, so we're going to need to make a lot of money.
It's a good motivator.
Yeah.
I know you're motivated by helping people. I've known you a long time, yourself and Jade, and what I've seen, just touching back on promoting and stuff, you guys have always helped people that you can touch and see and in your immediacy, right? Family and friends and clients. I think this is just an extension. Now you've had cash, you've gone, okay, how can I help more people? Where before, life's busy, blah, 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 and you can only help so many people, which you were helping a lot of people, myself included. But now I think you've got your young son, you can see there's a lot more needy people, and that's where your focus is now shifted to.
Yeah,
nice,
well,
really nice.
the biggest fulfillment that we've gotten, my wife and I, is that we've built people up from nothing. So that's where we've gotten the greatest reward in life, is seeing whether it's staff or clients or business partners, whatever it is, seeing them go from here to here. It really sort of it really gives you, it's better than money, right? So if we can then influence those people we've brought up to give back to people that are less fortunate than us. So what's that UFC fighter, Khabib,
Agamemnon.
Yeah, the Russian, right? Like incredibly
Dagestani.
Incredibly humble guy, and he said in one talk one day, said, you know, if you ask people about success, a lot of them will say, you know, it's because of my mindset, it's because of my hard work, it's my sacrifice, all of that sort of thing. But then he said, what about these people that do all of those things, but they're in countries that are less fortunate than you?
And they don't make it.
They don't have the opportunity. Like, for example, like I wouldn't be able to be as big as I am here if I was back in Malaysia. Like, it just wouldn't happen, right? And then there's people worse off than people from Malaysia, right? So what he was trying to say is that everybody works hard. Like, there's a lot of people that work hard, right? But they're not provided the same opportunity as you, because they might live within a different government, or they might live in a different country where, you know, they might be working 150 hours a week and working their guts out to feed, you know, 4 kids, you know, so...
Or they don't have parents and they're an orphan.
Exactly. So we need to understand that we've been given a great opportunity here, and, you know, we all have our issues with our families and, you know, the problems that come with politics and all of that sort of stuff, but... You know, like we really do have a good life here, and it's up to us, you know, to represent the human race, right? To go, okay, we are in the top 1%. Let's take some of our earnings and give back, right? So where this started for us is in our religion. So for our listeners, in our religion, there's this thing called zakat, which is it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, right? So it's one of the things that you have to do. Now, what zakat it means is it like by definition, it's you need to do a yearly contribution to a charity of the needy, right? And it doesn't have to be a Muslim country, charity. In some Muslim countries, it is mandatory. Like, for example, in Malaysia, I think it's become mandatory. But the general rule of thumb is 2.5% of your wealth or your savings.
Your liquid wealth.
Yeah, so if you've got, say, $1,000, it's $25, right? And each person has to do it. Now, I was trained to do this from a very young age, and you do it during the month of Ramadan. That's because it's once a year, right? And that's where you sort of get connected back to your faith, and, you know,
you're amongst the community.
Yeah, and everybody does it, right? And my parents till this day will message us throughout Ramadan and go, oh, don't forget to pay your zakat, right? And I think what that is, it teaches us from a very young age that, okay, well, we got to give. If we're in a position to, we have to give, and that's what my father always taught me. So I'm sort of trying to teach this to Cash, but I'm sort of putting it on steroids, right? Like you got to now build.
That's how you operate.
Yeah, you got to build 2 or 3 orphan homes a year now. You know what I mean? Like that, but that's compulsory. That's what we do as a family, and that's just how you're going to get brought up, and that's going to be your, I guess, value and belief system moving forward.
Yeah, it's like you said, it is built into our religion, and pretty much all religions have that sort of component, giving back. You see it in churches, that that plate they put around with put money on it. So
and some people take from it.
Some people take from it. The collection plate. So it's like a tenet of all religions, and I think just what happens over time, and with modern society, we get caught up. We're all too busy. We're all too busy making money and running around. People have kids, you know, sporting event. Everyone forgets how actually lucky you are. So it's just a good reminder, really. Like you've set a big example for people to look at, and even if it's not as big, they can at least do something. It's a reminder to people to start giving
Look,
back.
collaborate, right?
Yeah.
And we've collaborated with a partnering charity, and you know, it's a charity that means a lot to us, and we hold them very close. So it's not something that we sort of started on our own. Look, it takes a lot of horsepower, but this is the reason why we wanted to do this podcast, because there are other ways to give back.
Yes.
Right? There are other ways. So I guess we wanted to go through 5 reasons to give back, which we've already sort of covered a few, but we wanted to go through 5 ways as well. So the first reason will be it gives you purpose.
Yep. So giving purpose, I think, really what makes you wake up every day. There has to be something driving you. And a lot of the time, first and foremost is money and looking after yourself. I remember back in management school. So you did management, eh?
Yes.
Management. Do you remember, it's going to test your memory, it tested mine, Maslow's hierarchy of
Yeah,
needs.
I do.
Remember
I
that?
do. Yeah.
The triangle. So anyone that hasn't done management theory and all that kind of stuff, it's a really good diagram of sort of how your needs change over time. And what it sort of says is that you have your basic needs. Everyone needs to fulfill them to get to the next level and so on, right? So your basic needs are really money, food, shelter, like to provide for yourself. And as you go up the triangle, it goes to more emotional stuff like love and belonging. And then it goes to self-esteem. And the pinnacle at the top is self-actualization. That's where you fulfill your potential. And so what he's trying to say is that once you meet your certain level, so you're self-sustaining, you can look after yourself, you need that next level, next level, next level. And the one at the top, self-actualization, is where you fulfill your potential and you give back. And he said, not many people get there, you can get there, but that's sort of the levels of sort of life in a theory.
Well, we see a lot of these successful people, right? And they get to a point where they've made it in their careers or their businesses or whatever it is, and then they get bored, right? So they need to turn to philanthropic sort of...
They've conquered everything else.
Exactly.
And they're at the top, they're like, what do I do now?
Exactly. Yeah. And it gives them that purpose. And for me, what it's done is like, I will never be bored, right? Because I've like...
You got too many
like
things.
For example, like a lot of people say, like when you build wealth and you do well, they'll say, oh, when's enough? Right? And I get that because it's sort of like, people look at it as, you know, you're being greedy or trying to make too much. Yeah, and they go, like, how many cars do you need? How many homes do you need? And all of that sort of thing. And I get it because it's like sometimes it can be quite extravagant and overindulgent, you know. But like I think, how many orphan homes can you really buy, right? Like as in build. Would you ever say, oh, when's enough, Zah? Like, when are you going to stop building orphan homes? Like, you can't imagine anyone saying that, right? So I will have this forever purpose. I'll be able to basically work to the day I die and go, okay, well, I still didn't do enough, which I love, right? Because I don't want to sit back and slow down, right? And I probably will if I just think about the toys that I want to buy for myself, the vacations I can go on, you know, like, obviously, you know, there's only so much I can give my child in terms of material possessions without spoiling him, you know what I mean? So I needed this greater purpose to work towards because otherwise, you know, like, you can have all of these things, you can have all of this wealth, but, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to get bored if you just keep doing the same thing.
Well, once you get them, you're not as happy as you were when you were chasing them, isn't it? When you want the Ferrari and you're chasing to try and get it, then you get it, you're just like, oh, remember you said that about the R8?
Yeah.
When you finally got the supercar,
I was bored after 10, 15 minutes.
You didn't even like it on the freeway. You
didn't
even sell it.
Yeah.
So it's like those material things aren't going to keep you happy.
Look, they don't do it for me anymore, right? So I think that purpose is really important. Number 2, opens doors and you can meet new people. So, you know, this has just happened recently for me. Like a lot of people have reached out to me and said, Zah, how can I get involved? And I said, look, just don't write the check to me, write the check to a partner. Like just take the next step. But what it's done is it's enabled me to meet people that I wouldn't have met otherwise.
Wouldn't have necessarily met in your day to day. So it's opened up doors, building your network. So more people that you can be in touch with, help potentially as well. It's type of the reasoning for it. It also can help you get to where you want to go. I have my wife. She started out in a charitable type organization when she was young, helping women in domestic violence type of situations. And by helping them during that early time in her career, not even careers, during uni days and stuff, she found out what she wanted to do with her life. So by helping them back then, it gave her the purpose of her actual career where she's excelling and helping herself whilst helping other people. So
it's a win-win.
You never know where it can lead you. So it's just a matter of acting, really. Doing it.
And people will see the good in you, right? Like once, and that's why, like, it's sort of like, if you're going to do it, maybe tell the world about it, because people want to know that that's what you stand for. And now we live in a world where personal brand is everything. And, you know, a lot of the time we're taught, you know, stay low key, just keep it to yourself, don't self-promote. Isn't
it sad that when you want to tell people about a good thing you're doing, that they're going to try and chop you down?
You know, like I've gotten it already. We get hate all the time on everything that we do, and you know, and that was the reason why I didn't want to publicize it, right? But now it's been done, like everybody knows about it. Yeah, so I got to deal with the hate anyway. But I got to deal with a lot of the love as well, which I'm welcoming.
Hopefully it outweighs the
hate. It does. It definitely does. So number 3 is make an impact. So, you know, like we've always operated in a way where we want to leave the world a better place. It sounds a bit corny and cheesy, but in actual fact, that's how we should be teaching the next generation, right? By leaving the world a better place, that means maybe influencing people to do better with themselves, and in this case, you know, giving back.
That's it. I think there's a direct and an indirect impact. So the direct is that actual person receiving whatever you've given them, whether it's your time, expertise, money, charitable stuff. It's also the people watching you. So that's why I think what you did is good, because people are watching you give, and you're setting an example. And maybe look, your friends in the elite sort of spaces looked at you and go, "Fuck, I'm not doing enough."
Yeah, so it's not they can donate more than me because they've actually got more, right? And I'm sure they will because they're good people. But if I didn't do it, it wouldn't have sparked anything in their mind.
They would never have done it. They would never have done it. So that direct impact is the guy receiving or the girl receiving what you want to provide them. Also reminding everyone in your circle, even beyond your circle, if it's online, that hey, if you're doing well, just remember that other people aren't.
Yeah,
it's like
and
I think it's
like
awesome.
You said, Sam, we get caught up here in Sydney. You know, like in a very busy lifestyle where, you know, we're chasing our tail, and you know, at the end of the day, we still live a good life.
Oh, really good.
Know,
we forget how good
compared
it is
to the rest of the world. Number 4, improve skills. So, you know, this will mean that you may be able to communicate better. Because you're networking with a lot more different people. You know, I think it's a good way to just get experience.
Yeah. I think the skills really in communication are going to really build, because you'll be dealing with different types of people, like you said, and what that develops is your empathy. So your ability to walk in someone else's shoes, and those shoes are very diverse when you get into the charitable space.
And we deal with a lot of people who cannot seek to understand, right? They just don't know what it's like to be in the other party's shoes, and they're just so narrow-minded. And it's really frustrating talking to those guys and trying to do business with those guys, because they only think about themselves. And, you know, like understanding how in this case with orphan homes, right, how other cultures operate, how other people have it so hard, you know what I mean? Like feeling that pain, like, and this is why we say travel's so good, because it allows you to open up your eyes to go, wow, this is what the rest of the world is like, especially Australians. Like every Australian should shoot to travel, because we really do live in the best country. This is the reason why everybody wants to live here, because it's so safe. It's, you know, you get looked after by the government. Like minimum wage is actually quite high.
You can live,
it's pretty good, man.
It's a reminder of how good you've got it. Like you don't have to complain about your train being late. You've actually got a train. Yeah. Some people don't have trains.
Yeah, some people have to walk 2-3 hours to get to where they need to be.
Exactly. So improving the skills, I think really it boils down to, if you're going into this charitable space and giving back, all that kind of thing, your level of empathy is going to go through the roof. I think it's something that people don't have a lot of these days. So if you can really build that ability to deal with people, understand people, not only are you going to help them, you're helping yourself in your whatever path you take in life, business or career, anything. It's just going to make you a better person.
Yeah, and I guess giving more than receiving, we've talked about this on podcasts before, giving more than receiving also really helps in business, right? And it's the reason why I've gotten where I am, is because I've left so much money on the table. And I continue to do that. And I actually get people saying, Zah, you leave too much on the table. But then I think to myself, well, I'd rather be known as the guy who leaves too much on the table than the guy that takes too much, because we all know those people who just take. They're just takers. They're not givers, right?
They end up with no clients.
Yeah, man.
People hate
well,
them.
they get this reputation. Like, it would kill me if I got a reputation of someone who was a taker. It would absolutely floor me. Like, I don't ever want to be known as the guy who just takes. I want to be known as the guy who is fair, and he leaves plenty of meat on the bone for the other party. And it's how we've gotten ahead. Because people now want to deal with me. People want to do business with me. Like, I would literally trade all of my wealth for my name, right? So, like, that in itself is, I think, so valuable. And if you can, it's almost like a muscle, right? If you can teach that muscle, and hence the reason why we're doing it for cash very early, right? Teach him the muscle of giving. Just like my dad taught me. Like, my dad's big on helping people, big on, donating to charity and all of that sort of thing. So he taught that to me from a very, very young age, right? And I've gotten that. And now I give, in my business dealings, I give, to my clients, I give. I probably give too much, right? But what happens is they come back and they want to continue to do business. Plus they bring their friends. Then they invite me over to their house. You know what I mean? I've got to meet their family. And it's sort of like we all become like basically a big family. And I love operating business that way, because I've built this, it's almost like this movement and community of people that just love being together. And everyone just pushes each other to do better.
Isn't it funny that it's like it's so to the contrary, like by being so unselfish, you grow so much bigger. Where you'd think the guy that just looked after himself or took everything for himself, he'd grow quicker. But by being so unselfish and leaving stuff on the table for people, you grow quicker.
And I think it's long-term thinking, right? Like I definitely could probably be much more wealthier and richer and all of that sort of thing if I just thought short-term. And I've got friends like that who they don't think as long-term as I do, and they've gone more for the short-term, cash grab, and they've done very, very well. They've done very well out of industries where they're able to do that. I don't feel like we can do it in our industry, but we choose not to. But like,
well, your industry really is you're helping people get ahead through property. So by default, you have to give them so much in value and equity.
But because we're in a position of influence, we are able to then say to them, hey, instead of purchasing this property, purchase something else which pays us more, right? Which is essentially costing the client more. And it's obviously not going to perform as well, but we get looked after and we've made more money. And that's unfortunately how the majority of property investment firms work, because they've got to do it on economies of scale. They've got to do, they've got to do thousands of deals a year. Where we don't operate like that. We operate in that scarce supply space, and we want our investors to win, because we want them to come back for number 2, number 3, number 4, right? And we want to create this family. And one day we want them to build orphan homes if they can, right? So, it's all part of the bigger picture plan. They don't actually know that yet, but
that's where the path is going.
That's where they're heading towards.
And the last one, as part of the reasons, it feels good.
Mate, when was the last time you gave something to someone or gave back to society and felt bad?
No, never.
You always feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I always feel good when I get the check at the restaurant, right? I always feel good when I've made another donation to a charity, or I've helped a friend out and I've lent them money when they're down and out, and all of that sort of thing. Like, that feels good, man.
Yeah. I think, and just one thing about feeling good is, I read this little snippet about It's called The Hypocrisy of Charity. And it tells us a little story, and it's about feeling good, but directing this charitable gesture in the right place. And it tells a story of a guy or this group that go to a market, and they're trying to buy eggs or something for the family. And he's a poor farmer or something like that. And they hammer him on the price to get a good deal, and they walk away, undercutting him hard. And that guy really needs the money. And then later that night, the family go out to dinner, and they go to a fancy restaurant. They buy nice meals, and then they tip the waiter like hundreds of dollars, or the firm, the restaurant, hundreds of dollars. And it's just it's a story to just show, like, why didn't you just tip the guy with the eggs, the egg farmer, whatever it is? And it's about.
And he probably ate the eggs at the restaurant through his meal, right?
That's right. So he's getting shafted here, and it's about just don't be hypocritical with your charity. And they were saying if you can be charitable, which is what charity is about helping the less fortunate. There's gratitude in charity. Be and gracious. So that guy who's selling eggs, maybe pay him a bit more. If you know he's struggling, go pay him more.
Of course.
Don't undercut him.
Yeah.
When you go to a fancy restaurant, don't feel like you need to.
Yeah, don't bust them on price, right? And business is hard. This is the thing. Like we tell people all the time, like, right now, business is hard. To be honest with you, Sam, you know my situation at the moment. Yeah. Business has tightened up. Property values are sort of on a little bit of a decline. Inquiries down, all of that sort of thing. And for me to commit to building an orphan home, my first one, like in the last month, it's probably been one of the worst times to do it. But I was like, no, I didn't do it when Cash was born, and I really want to do it for his first birthday because I need to set the standard, and also I need to lead by example. I need to show everybody, it doesn't matter how fucking hard life gets, we still give back to those who need it, right? Because at the end of the day, there are people that need it more than I do. And I will find a way to make that money. And then when I made that transaction, I was like, wow, I feel really good. Like it made me feel really good. It made me feel better than if I just put that off and saved that money and put it towards whatever bills I've got to pay. Like I couldn't even afford to do it, but like I just did it. I forced myself into that position. But even then, I still feel good to this day.
They say it actually releases endorphins, just like any other good activity you do. By giving back, it makes you feel good. So it's chemically
mental health, right? Mental health, which is a massive thing. You want to feel better about
yourself, help
give
someone,
more, give more. All right, so that's 5 reasons. Let's go into the 5 ways, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, but I don't have money. I've always wanted to do it, but I don't
know what to do.
I struggle with paying the bills as it is. Like, what can I do? But there are other things you can do to give back to, I guess what we're trying to do is encourage you to build this giving back muscle, right? So that one day you can show the next generation that's what we have to do.
Yeah. And the first one really is, it's probably the simplest, give your time. Giving your time, I think, yes, time is money in this world, so there is a cost to your time.
Well, it's either time or money.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. But I think time really means a physical presence in whatever you're doing. So that could be like at a soup kitchen or charity fundraising events or sleep out CEO stuff. I know that you've done before. So physically being present in this whatever charitable thing you're doing, I think would show a lot more respect. Because one, you might not have the time, the money, which is fine, but you physically turning up when time is so tight for everyone, it's like, wow, like and look, made the effort.
And we got to remember, time is probably our most valuable asset.
It is
right?
the most scarce
So for example, for me, like I don't actually have that much time because I'm so busy, right? Which means, but I'm in a position where I can write checks, and I'm very fortunate to be in that position. But if I wasn't in this position, what I would be doing is giving my time. And there are so many things that you can give, right? Like we got Google now. Just go Google it, right? Like you don't really need to get a crash course on how to give back by giving your time, Obviously look after your family first and your close-knit circle. Make sure everyone's okay and doesn't require your time there. But then venture out and see what you can do. And I think you never know what doors will open for you as well. Because if time is all you got and you've got no money, you fucking need money, right? Exactly, so like those doors that open could actually help you make more money because people will see the good in you.
That's what I was going to say. It can build your reputation. So it's sort of a selfish thing about it, but it's indirect. You're not doing it for that, but if people see you're helping, it's sort of like getting the Bachelor of Commerce thing next to your name, or JP. It's like, oh, this guy donates his time. Like, to me, that's pretty special.
And in a commercial sense as well, like giving your time, it will work for you in the business environment, right? Like I remember I was a dishwasher for a long time in this kitchen, which was connected to a restaurant and a bar. And I wanted to get out of dishwashing because I was over it. It was $9 an hour. It was terrible, right? And I said to the owner, I said, oh, can I work in the bar? Because I knew if I worked in the bar, I can get the tips, and they're longer hours because it's late night trade, right? Went to 3, 4 in the morning. And he goes, oh, I can get you a waiter job on the restaurant floor. I said, I don't want the waiter job, right? I said, I tell you what I do. I'll work for you for free for 1 month in that bar. Yep. And he took it up. He was a small business operator. He wanted the free labor. And I was like, no problem. I'm happy to do it. And I'll show you what I'm made of. That guy was cornered into giving me a job afterwards.
How could he say no
if he didn't give me a job, I would have murdered the bloke, right? But giving your time, you will get a return on it.
Oh, yeah, it opens many doors. You can do that in any space as well.
Now, that's a commercial example, right?
Example.
We're more so talking about giving back to the needy and all of that sort of thing. But, that's giving back to yourself essentially after, a long period of time. So that muscle... because it was ingrained in me early, I was able to make that call at 18 years old and go, all right, I'm gonna skip the restaurant and go straight to the bar, and it got me ahead. You know what I mean?
And you could only do it if you gave first.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I think that's what people miss these days. They're not willing to give more.
I think Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it a lot. Give value. So when he talks about like these podcasts, like these podcasts, they're not cheap to produce, right? And they take a big chunk of our time up. We've got to create the content, all of that sort of thing, right? It's our way of giving back. Like we're giving up our time right now, right? And a lot of people that listen to this podcast don't actually do business with us, which we're fine with, right? Because we've got enough business. But the thing is, it's a way for us to go, okay, there's something inside of you, Sam. There's something inside of you, Zah. Let's get it out onto camera and get it out to our audience and share it so other people can learn from our experiences and our learnings, right? That's a way of giving back. So maybe start a podcast, right? Okay, number 2. Choose or create a foundation. So what we did was we created a private foundation, and we've chosen to partner with another, a charity who specialise in building orphan homes and all of that sort of thing. But like you have to choose. Like there's so much out there, and that's we honestly spent probably 2 or 3 years, and you've been a part of this process, right? Because I've bounced a lot of ideas off you, to try and find a charity that really meant something to us. So we did, I did the CEO Sleep Out one time, which was to help out the homeless here locally. We've done breast cancer awareness before. We've held those events. Red Cross, all of those things, right? Actually, I'll tell you an interesting thing. When I was growing up, I think we might have mentioned this on a podcast before, but my careers advisor, we would have been the same one as you. I forgot her name. At school. So I was 15 years old, and that's when you can start getting a job,
the work
and stuff like that.
And stuff.
So she suggested to get a certificate from Red Cross saying that you volunteered to work for them. And the only thing that you could do for them is to go around knocking on doors, asking for donations. And you know what? Like, that was great because I got the certificate and I could add it to my resume, and at least I had something, right? It's almost sort of like you're trying to build a credit score for yourself, right?
Experience.
And but what it did was it taught me skills on how to deal with people closing the door on you.
Knocking on the door is a very hard thing.
It's a hard thing, and no one wants to give money, right? Especially when you come from a suburb where no one has any money, right? Like, because we lived in, I guess it was a semi-ghetto. I think I did, but I heard a shotgun go off. He was clocking back a shotgun, so I ran, you know what I mean? He thought I was coming for your sister. But it taught me really valuable skills, and I chose the Red Cross, not for the skill set, but because I needed that certificate, right? And also, it was a good cause. You know, we were raising money. I think I think I ended up raising like $50 or something because people were only giving like $2 coins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is choose something.
Just choose something, yeah.
And do it and get the experience. And you never know where it can lead you or what it can teach you.
That's right. That's right. I think it's the same with everything. There's so much choice nowadays for anything. Whether you want to buy a pair of shoes, a bag, anything. Anything you want to do, there's so many choices. So just find something. Well, you found your one now with cash. You want to focus on the kids.
We found our one now, and we're actually going to say to our clients, part of their service fee that they pay us, a portion of that actually goes towards our founder, which is true. Like as we're self-funding it, right? So if it's $1,000 from each client, that's going towards these orphan homes that we're building, right? So we now have that. It's ingrained. It doesn't make a difference to our clients. It's not like we overcharge them or anything like that. It's the same thing. We just take a portion of that. And this is where I think most business owners should look at doing and communicate that to your customers, because then your customers will see that you're not just in it for yourself. You are trying to work towards a bigger vision, and they'll have more respect for you, and they'll probably want to do more business with you.
And it's an X factor to your business. I support this a brand in America. It's called Pali Roots. They support the Palestinian cause, and they just try and create awareness so you can buy their shirts and all that kind of stuff. But as well as raising awareness in that charitable type endeavor, they also contribute so just say I buy a shirt, they contribute, I don't know what percentage, to Palestine and to feed the kids. So it makes me want to spend even more money with them. So it's sort of like a really good way to get awareness and help people at the same time, putting it part of your business marketing campaign.
Yeah, and we're not saying like, dedicate your whole business to donating to charity, like, because you've got to feed yourself and you've got to feed the business and reinvest and all of that sort of thing. But like, have it as part of your business. Have it as part of if you're a family and you maybe your employees, have it as part of your household, and that's what you guys focus on. And what's good about it as well is when people a lot of people will ask others for donations, right? Like it always happens. Yeah. And like I always try and give wherever I can, whatever I can. But a lot of people feel uncomfortable, right, saying no to donating, and they just feel guilty, right? But if you've got your own charity that you're working on, you focus on, you put maybe whatever it is, $10,000 a year, $30,000 a year to it, whatever your number is that you focus on giving back to, what will happen is these people that ask you for donations, and you now have a reason to say no. Because it's like, well, it would be irresponsible for me to donate to your charity because we've already got our commitments, right? Yeah, you're already helping. And we're already helping, and it's a great response. Like, obviously don't respond that way if you don't have those commitments, but it's great if you do have those commitments, because it actually makes you feel better, because you're like, okay, well, I'm actually doing what I set out to do. The worst is when people don't have a charity that they're focusing on and they're saying no to donate to other people's requests. Just a
completely flat no to helping
other
people, whatever it may be.
Yeah. So, like that goes back to feeling good, right? You want to feel good that you're doing more for this world. Okay, number 3, this is a really good one because pretty much everyone can do it. I do it. It's donate blood. And a lot of people think, okay, well, it's how much of a difference is half a litre of blood going to make? Well, you got to remember the average human body has 5 litres of blood. So 10% of that is half a litre. It's quite a considerable amount, right? And we have a major shortage of blood available for transfusions and all of that sort of thing in this country. And you can do a maximum of 2 litres a year.
Oh, is there maximum?
Every 3 months you can go back. So you can go 4 times. And this is what I do. I do 2 litres a year. I've been doing it for the past 3 or 4 years now. And look, and I guess that was another thing that I think, I don't put it on social media anymore because I go so frequently, but back 2-3 years ago, when I first went, I put it on social media. And what came from that, I started getting selfies from people saying they're donating blood. From my network, right? And they said, Zah, you just reminded me, like,
so a ripple effect.
And it's now not 2 litres, it's probably 20 litres a year,
just
right?
From your,
just from my awareness, right? So, and that made me feel good. And every time I go in to donate blood, I you hear the stories from the people that work there going, wow, we're really low and we need as much as we can get. And, you're saving lives, and it's one thing we can all do where it doesn't take that much time. Literally takes about 15 minutes to do. There's blood donation centres everywhere. That's run by the Red Cross. And they give you free snacks.
What do you get? A Mars bar or something?
Oh, you get whatever you want. They've got everything.
Yeah, choice.
Yeah, man.
If you're hungry, just go give some.
Yeah. Load up. And look, it's funded by the government, and they do that to entice people to come and give the blood. And I think obviously there's a small part of the population that can't give blood because of health issues and stuff like that, but the majority of people can. And that's where we're trying to say, look, like, if you can't give money, you can't give time, give your blood.
How easy is it? Because everyone has blood.
Yeah, and
you only need 15 minutes, and it can save someone's life.
And again, it's strengthening that muscle to give back, to go, okay, teaching the next generation. And I think this should be taught more I'm sure it is in schools, because I think I remember they used to come to our school.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
But like, push harder, like, do it, and a lot of people are, this my body, my choice, all this bullshit. Fuck, man, there are people dying.
And you know what else as well? It's like the ultimate recipient of your donation, you don't know who they are. So it's sort of giving without any ability to get something back.
No.
So that's like sort of like, because if you donate money or your time, they can go, oh, thank you.
Yeah,
the person you help.
Yeah.
Well, this is like you
get a text,
save someone's life.
You get a text message from Red Cross saying, look, your blood's been transferred to this hospital now.
But this sort of hospital. But that guy who maybe had a car accident needs your blood, they pump it into him. You don't know, but you just saved the guy's life. You'll never know. So it's like an unknown. I've saved people's. I don't even know who they are. It's like very unknown.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, it's massive.
Right? Like, imagine, like, think about it. I've been doing it for say 3-4 years. You've got probably say 10 litres worth of blood there. That's 2 full human bodies of blood. Massive, you know what I mean? Massive. So like it will definitely make a difference. But going back every 3 months, it makes me realise, because you do the education while you're there and you read all the signs and the pamphlets, and it reminds you that, hey, what if, for example, my wife has a baby and is losing a lot of blood at birth, and she needs it. Like, I would be so grateful for the people like me and the people the fellow donors who donated the blood. Like, you would just be, man, like money can't even buy it, right? So I think it's actually worth more than writing a check. It's a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it shows as well that you don't have to do some big grand gesture. So if you don't have the capability to say do orphan homes, you have the ability to go give your blood. That can actually save some.
All right.
Like, you don't have. It's a very small.
You
thing.
don't
Go
have
down
time.
The road.
You don't have money. All right, you selfish cunt. Go and fucking give your blood. You know what I mean?
It's
like do something. You know what I mean?
So if you can't do anything else, if you just do that, it's still huge. It's massive. So there you go. Can you take me?
Yeah, we'll go next time together. Number 4, education and mentoring. So this is like what we're doing here with podcasting. We hold dinners with our clients and all of that sort of thing. We are actually quite passionate about it. We love what we do. We are definitely not the top experts in Australia, but the thing is, what we are though are experts in the experience we've had in our lives, right? So I'm turning 40 this year, the big 40. So I've had over 15 years of experience in investing and also business. So I've gone through a lot of pains and all of that sort of thing, and my I guess role within society is to go, hey, younger generation, don't make the same mistakes as I did. I'm going to guide you better. I'm going to make you do it better. I'm going to make you do it faster. And that's really fulfilling for me, because I can see people grow at a much faster rate than what I did, because they're avoiding the mistakes that I made. And to me, that's, I'm giving back every day, right? Because I'm doing that every day. People are
giving
calling.
Your experience.
Yeah.
Everyone's calling. They want your opinion on something. And what is that? It's from your life up to date with all the stuff you've done. They want to know what you think. So you're giving back every day. We give back. I think most service-based businesses will be doing something like that.
Well,
They're
like
giving
I
back.
see a lot of people ask you, Sam, like, because you've been an accountant for how long now? 12, 13 years, right? And you give advice and I guess you don't give advice, but you make suggestions and recommendations and you talk about like other clients' files as examples and stuff like that. And
I don't use their names, but...
No, you don't use their names, but you definitely help people understand what they should be doing, right? Whether it's in business or their personal finances. And like a lot of that, you don't get paid for that.
No.
Like I've seen it, you know, and you've probably seen it with me. Like we don't get paid for a lot of the stuff that we give, right? A lot of the education we put out there. But it makes us feel pretty good that we can do it.
Oh, when someone calls you with a problem and they are trusting you with some advice or whatever it is, a point about that situation, it's nice. It's nice. It makes you feel valued and people actually want to deal with you. So, not very much. And I think what people might not realize is most people have something to give. Everyone has a story. Look, and they've developed something, learned something they can provide.
A hater the other day said to me, he goes, I probably know more about the economy than you, right? And I thought to myself, okay, like that's probably true, but where's your fucking podcast, right? Like if you know more than the economy than me,
why are you sharing this with people?
Tell me, teach me, right? Teach me, teach thousands of other people, right? So we're doing what we can within our capacity, and we're very proud of that. And we want to continue to do that, and it just makes us feel really good. And I'm sure, you know, our listeners are very appreciative of it as well.
You know why they don't share? It's because you can cop it. People hate you when you try and talk and share
well,
stuff.
that's the problem, right? So a lot of people shy away from putting out content out there in terms of education and mentoring because there's almost an oversaturation of these people now. But if you're talking about stuff that you've actually experienced, mistakes that you've actually gone through, and it's real life, like, man, you should be shouting it from the mountaintops because you need to help others avoid those mistakes that you've made.
And because that person listening might not listen to me or you, but they might listen to him.
Exactly.
Everyone's has an audience.
Everyone's got their own market, right? Like I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and neither are you, right? But we've got our own market, and it might only be small, but
you're helping people, man. It's valuable.
It's even if it's one person, right? Like it's really, really important. Okay, the last one is just to spread awareness, right? Okay. And
that's where the promotion comes in.
Yeah.
About the child homes, the orphan homes. You have to do it.
You have to tell people, and I wasn't really for it before it actually happened. It just happened by chance, and it happened by accident, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I want everyone to know about it, but you know, like anything in life, if you do something different or you do something big, you do something grand, people are going to hate on it. So people are going to criticize it, people are going to judge it. So you might as well just fucking do it anyway, right? And that's what I've learned in life. People are going to hate on what you do. They're going to look at you as arrogant. They're going to look at you as someone who's just self-promoting their own business. Or you're a scammer, all of that bullshit. It's always going to happen. You're never going to get out of it. But the thing is, think of the good things that can come out of it.
And don't let it stop what you want to do.
Think about the 150 million orphans in the world today that need a home, right? I might not be able to give them parents, but we might be able to give them a home. You know? So, Sam, thank you for this episode. I think it was very wholesome, very wholesome. I feel really good after giving this.
Because you gave back.
I gave back. But thanks, and we'll see you again. Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate you. We love you. Please don't forget to give back. Peace out.